Mike's Daily Podcast.
Putting your car through a drive cycle does not work. Do not let any smog people tell you any different.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode 1936, and here's something I have been trying to fix, and that is my car won't pass the smog test, so I have to do this thing that causes stress. It makes me want to sing, I don't want to do this anymore, and that is
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Deal with the fact that my car passed all the emissions stuff, and then except for this one test
Mike's
that the car
Daily
takes on itself
Podcast.
and for some reason it's not taking it.
Yeah!
And that's all I want to say about that. But it's just frustrating, and it was also hazardous to try and drive the test that I was supposed to do to kick off the test, to reset the car. To reset it, I was supposed to drive 55 miles an hour for 3 minutes. Yes, 3 minutes at 55. You can't go any faster, any less fast. And you have to do it to get to that speed. You can't floor the accelerator. You have to go at half throttle. And then once you've gone for 3 minutes at 55 miles per hour, you decelerate. And you're not supposed to hit the brakes. You just decelerate. Can't give it any gas. And then you somehow have reset the engine. Well, I know for sure. I attempted it about 4 times. I know I was successful at least twice. And my lovely lady friend did it twice. This is not safe to do in the Bay Area. This kind of thing. Sure, out in Alabama, where I used to live, where there was lots and lots of roads that had nobody on them, that was fine. But here you've got roads that are constantly filled with people, and people can't drive in the Bay Area to begin with, so very dangerous.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And when you have performed this test, it is called a drive cycle, and I know for sure I was successful doing a drive cycle. However, it did not reset the car. So now on to the next thing, which will probably be some really expensive deal. Ugh. The podcast picture today let's see, yesterday we had the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and today we are very blessed to have this guy.
Hello, Mike. This is John Deere, the engineering. Yes, a drive cycle is what you need to put your car through in order to reset it. It's with the General Motors cars.
Yes, General Motors. So, yes, that's John Deere. I don't know. What is the next step?
You have to take the car and drive it off a cliff.
Oh, okay. And that will help reset the engine?
Yes, it will.
All right, that's an excellent idea. Look, Basil. Basil's telling me things like, I don't like it when we go down to downtown Podcastro Valley and go to the Meet in the Street Festival. And there are all these people that say things like, oh, what a poor dog, oh, because he can't walk with the back legs. Oh, and then he was really mad because we tried to go into Pet Food Express, and he started sliding all over the floor because they have these hardwood laminate floors, and he couldn't grip onto it. So, what did we learn from that whole experience? That Meet in the Street in Podcastro Valley is a hoot, and that we didn't get to go last year because they canceled it because we had all the bad air because of the Paradise Fire, the campfire, as it was called, and it's been a year now. Wow. But, so, here we go. We haven't had as many colossal apocalyptic fires as we did a year ago. PG&E turned off power a bunch of places when the winds picked up. Do we, in fact, have a situation that now is going to be the norm, where PG&E will turn off power? I know if you're listening to this and you're anywhere else in the rest of the country or the rest of the world, you don't even care. I know a lot of people in the rest of the country hate California because we got all our Democrat people everywhere. All the liberals, although they're not all necessarily liberal, but they're all political people on the Democrat left side And there they are running the country of California. And other parts of the country that are pro-Trump are like, what the hell, California, you and your damn Nancy Pelosi. But here we are in California, and we're surviving. And people are somehow getting on in this state, even though, I mean, it is expensive. And I will tell you, I have had dreams about leaving this state and going back to Alabama. I enjoyed Alabama in that it was less expensive. It's a very pretty state. There's some nice people. The political leaning, I just didn't like. It was so anti-Obama there, and I just thought, why do you hate him so much? Well, because he's a Democrat. I'm like, uh-huh. And then, and it was just such outspoken, virile, no, that's not it, bile? It was bile that was thrown at, ew, that's gross. It was just, people were just throwing their protestations at me constantly. And I did okay. Yes, thank you for letting me know what you think about Obama. But now he's long out of office, yet he still gets thrown into it all, blamed for the 8 years. Oh, I heard one political guy say, hey, Obama had a cakewalk for his 8 years. It was so easy for him. Was it really, revisionist history guy? I don't think it was. They're comparing it to how the Democrats are going after Trump right now with the whole impeachment hearing. And there was a point where there was talk with the Republicans, and I remember this distinctly with Obama, that Republicans were going to try to impeach Obama. And John Boehner put the kibosh on it, maybe even Mitch McConnell. They didn't have one singular thing. And now we've got this whole Ukrainian thing going on. Anyway, I don't want to get too into the political thing, but that is just, it's an interest. That's just what Alabama is. Very anti-Obama. And here we are in California, very anti-Trump. And that's how we are in the U.S. with our varying degrees of opinion. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that, except that drive cycles don't work. And the meet in the street thing was tiring for my arm as we go outside a cafe. Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley today, the last place on earth, because I have to pick up Basil from the back end there. And are we going to call it 2020, by the way? It's not going to be 2020. We're going to definitely call it 2020. We could have called this 2019 or 2018, 2017, but we went with 2000. We like to say the 2000 thing. Are we going to keep doing that? I think we're going to drop it and just go 2020 for the rest of this millennium. I love to do this podcast for you. I love sleeping in. And do I ever get to do it? No. Today I did. Today it was interesting because I slept in I got to about 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock. And then the brain, bam, the brain kicked off and the brain's whirling and the brain is like, oh, what about this? This could possibly be a big issue. What about that? Because this is going to the smog guy to find out if the car has passed the drive cycle. What do I do if that doesn't happen? What do I do if that did? And and you start worrying and and that wakes you up and that that causes you not to sleep at all. It causes the insomnia, all that worrying going on in the brain. And the thing is to just realize something that I think my dad may have told me, or maybe it was your dad told me. Somebody's dad told me this. And that is, it will all work out in the end. That sentence, it will all work out in the end. Does it mean it'll work out good for you? That it'll be excellent? No, it just means it'll all work out in the end. It may turn into a pile of poop, but it will work out. it will be that at the end, and you will have to deal with it, and that will be it. But there is something calming about that. There is nothing when you're sitting in bed that you can do. I mean, you can jump up and then work on the issue, but then you're going to be tired in the morning. It's just having to say to yourself, it's going to work out. You've gotten through other things. You can get through this. That's the important thing. Maybe that simple saying that your grandpappy or your grandmammy or somebody... Wait, that doesn't sound right. Grandmammy. Somebody said to you, at some point, it'll all work out in the end. C'est la vie, whatever. That's a good rule to follow. And I think we forget that a lot because we get so stressed out. And that's why 21 Pilots had at least one good song. I was stressed out. Okay. I think we covered a lot of ground like mud does. Hey, look who's here.
Oh, Mike Matthews, it's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. That's really sad.
What's really sad?
The way people treated you at that thing last night.
Yes, at the Castro Valley Meet in the Street. It's called Meet in the Street because about 4 years ago, Castro Valley had all this construction done on Castro Valley Boulevard. Castro Valley Boulevard is this main thoroughfare. See, Castro Valley doesn't really have a downtown because Castro Valley Boulevard at one point was the downtown, but it's a big street, it's a busy street, and it's like you can't make a downtown happen in the midst of a freeway. So what they did was they created Castro Village, which is this tiny little village, little parking lot going on in different stores. It's quaint, and they're working on it. It's taking them forever to finish it because they're doing all this renovation. They did a bunch of renovation to it about 5 years ago, and now they're doing it again, and it becomes a cluster, you know what, because you can't get around, and it's what it is. But Meet in the Street was to celebrate when the Castro Valley Boulevard got updated, got renovated. They added these little garden spots, these little nice little areas. What do you call them? Not topiaries, but just these little spots with plants and little sitting areas and these big blocks of granite that had nice carvings in them that represented the town of Castro Valley and stuff. So when that got finished, they said, let's celebrate. We'll meet in the street and we'll celebrate. And so they closed off Castro Valley Boulevard. And because it was somewhat close to Christmas, still 2 months away, but they gave it kind of a Christmas theme. And it actually ends up being the first Christmas-themed festival in the Bay Area before... and everybody else has something, tree lighting ceremonies and parades. We do the first one. It is a parade as well, that with a bunch of lights, and it becomes fun. And it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. And last night, a bunch of cool lights, and it's a fun Castro Valley tradition. So I walked with Basil, I think about 2 miles, holding him up, and I was so tired. And what stinks is you're walking along, people saying things to you. Why don't you try? And I said this to my lovely lady friend. Have you ever thought about, and then they'll have their suggestion. Have you ever thought about putting him in a wheelchair? Oh, let's put this to rest right now, everybody. Dog wheelchairs don't work. They do not work. And I will tell you why, because... they may work for little dogs. But when you got an 85-pound dog, to make him comfortable in that thing, and they just do not make one that can take 85 pounds. They can't. They don't. Until that day, and if you'd like to prove me wrong, you can call me at 336MM Daily and leave a message. Call the Mike's Daily Podcast Cafe Anyway line and leave a message. 3 + 3 = 6 MM is in what my name is, Mike Matthews, and daily as in what this podcast has been for the past couple of days. It is a hopeless dream. It is a soul-crushing. It's a terrible it just feeds on the sadness that dog owners have that their dogs can't walk anymore. And they feed on it by charging you $500 for these ridiculous wheelchairs that do not work. So stop asking me, have I tried that? The question is, have I tried it? The answer is no. I read a bunch of reviews on Amazon that show me it does not work. So I do not think I will spend the $400. And by the way, here's the other part of that. These dog owners spent $400 on it. And did they get their money back? No. They took out a $20 processing fee. They didn't get all their money back. So see, it's a sham. It's a con. Feeding off the hopes and dreams of dog owners. It's terrible. Terrible. So, it does not work. Do not ask that question. Then someone said to me, hey, why don't you try a wagon? Put your dog in a wagon. Well, that doesn't give him any exercise, does it? The way he's doing it now, he's moving, he's sniffing, he's exercising the legs that do work. That's important. People are stupid. That's what we've learned from all of this. Isn't that what? Alibaba, which by the way is like Amazon. They're like the Amazon rainforest. No, wait. That's not. They're like the other Amazon. The thing that I told you that where you can buy stuff that'll crush your hopes and dreams if you're a dog owner. They are like Amazon, the Chinese e-commerce giant. They said that sales for its annual Singles Day shopping blitz, which is happening, even though it's 11/10 today, it's actually 11/11 is Singles Day because of the 4 ones representing one as in single, so they call it Singles Day. And it's huge there in China. And you can also shop on Alibaba. I bought something on Alibaba eons ago. They do a Black Friday, Cyber Monday type thing, and it's happening tomorrow, which is actually right now because they are ahead of us. And it has apparently hit 84 billion won, which is $12 billion within the first hour, up 22% from last year. So that's going on right now in this world where some people go, you should own Alibaba. Oh, I was going to go into a whole thing about credit cards real quick, if I may, just real briefly. I mentioned Amazon. I mentioned Bing. If you do any searches on the internet, you should always use Bing. Sign up for an account on Bing. And yes, they get all of the stuff you want to search for. That's fine. But they're also giving you points. And I have gotten a lot of money for my Amazon account through that, which I've turned around to use to not buy dog wheelchairs, but buy things like, I bought a bunch of mackerel, I think I told you recently, because it's got the good fats in it, and other cool stuff. So it's a wonderful, please consider this. But with credit cards, always get the credit cards that give you rewards. And let's see, I could tell you, I'm not going to promote a particular type of credit card, but think about credit cards with rewards. If you're going to be using credit cards a lot, when I had to use cash because of the recent power outages, I mean, it's always good to have a little cash on hand, but I was thinking, gosh, this is so foreign. I'm so used to the credit cards. The trick is to pay it all off, though. And thanks for reminding me. I got to see if I got any credit card bills due. Aye, got to take care of that. That's the other thing. Be adamant about that. My little advice to you. Wow, we got a lot of little advices today, didn't we, on this show? And maybe even some vices as well. But hey, look who else is here before we end the show. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And you saw my lover earlier. Yes, I did. There is a Taylor Swift song called Lover now. Okay. It's good she posted on her Instagram a picture of her looking out over New York saying, what a beautiful city. Yeah. I don't understand the young fascination with cities. When you're young, in your 20s or whatever Taylor Swift is now, and going and moving to a huge city, I don't get it. Cities are dirty. It's nice to visit, but why live there? You're paying way more than the average person. You're dealing with way more stress, and you're inhaling and consuming pollutants. Not to mention the risk with all the thievery and murdering and mugging and whatnot going on. I don't like cities. I really don't. And I don't understand the fascination. Young people, when you go to a city, when you visit a city, you always see a ton of young people. And they're thinking, oh, this is awesome, this is great. But then they're eating out all the time because their apartment's the size of a tiny shoebox. And they have no place to eat or anything. And I don't get that, Taylor Swift. So there you go. That's that. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Go find yourself a country road and go reset your drive cycle and have a good drive is what I say. And enjoy your day and go and do some, turn off the whirring in your brain. Be cool. Be calm. It's all going to work out in the end. Like this podcast did. Woo!
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!